Well, I guess a simple answer would be literally TikTok. And we've talked about this, right? How he's harnessed the power of social media, especially TikTok. And there are a lot of users of TikTok here in the Philippines to rehabilitate his image and to get the message across that he is the right man to succeed Rodrigo Duterte for the presidency. And this is a real phenomenon. It's probably the biggest reason why, if he does cross the line first, he will win. But Shri, let's talk about what it means for markets, also for business, if indeed it is a Marcos Jr. Victory here. For the stock market, if you go back the last 5, maybe 6 presidential elections here in the Philippines, the stock market usually does pretty nicely. In some cases, double-digit gains in the 6 months after an election. So if that trend continues, we should be pretty okay. Investors should be pretty okay if they have money in the Philippine stock market, at least for in that 6-month window. Further out from that, though, and we talked about this, the key question in this election is Junior going to be like Senior? Is it going to be like father, like son? And if so, there are risks there. We talked about the outside risk, and probably the biggest one, that he could end up changing the Constitution. Below that, there's also the risk, especially for business, that he could indulge in appropriation. Remember, the business model of his father had been with favored tycoons or businessmen or conglomerates. If they wanted a license or monopoly for certain trade or business, etc., they'd have to talk to Marcos, and Marcos would want equity. After his fall from grace and after he fell from power, these tycoons retained Marcos's equity. So I think there's a lot of worry that perhaps Marcos Jr. could be out for a bit of revenge to take back what he personally and the family believes belongs to him. And that's something that's been flagged by groups like Control Risk, the political risk consultancy, and something that we continue to watch. And the term for it is legacy risk. And it could impact a lot of very famous tycoons here. Shri? Marcos is perceived to be a candidate who, if he becomes president, will lean closer to China. Would that be a fair assessment compared to, say, Roberto?
Of course, that is a fair assessment, but something that we noticed, maybe it's reflective of people's concern. There are 8 out of 10 Filipinos who would like us to be more assertive against China for the next president. There's also at least 84% of Filipinos telling us that if we are a small country, maybe it's time to build multilateral partnership and strength. And that's why we saw during the campaign itself that Marcos slowly shifted. It's possible that he has heard of this public clamor, and also there are foreign policy people that might have been engaging him, and that's very critical at this time. He needs to build that trust.
Needs to build that trust. Having said that, though, I mean, President Duterte, a lot of people feel, dropped the ball when he started leaning away from the U.S. and towards China. The billions of dollars in foreign investment which China initially promised, very little, if any, of that actually eventuated. If Marcos comes to power, leans closer to China, manages to get those Chinese investment dollars into the Philippines, it will create jobs.
He should learn from the lesson of the Duterte administration. Pivot for nothing at the end of the day. Appeasement that benefited Chinese interests. And I think the Filipino people will not accept that anymore. Because what we have seen now, we have contemporary history to tell us. 26 billion of promises. Not one even came in, especially with 3 that nearly moved forward but had some problems internally within the Philippine bureaucracy. So what we need to learn lessons from really is that who are the real friends of the Philippines? Our trade and investment partners. Where does investments come from? And these are continuously be countries that share values with us, democratic values. And we need to learn from that. And I hope the Marcos team or the Marcos foreign policy team will also learn from that. That these are exact facts. You cannot keep on appeasing and we keep on losing and protecting the national interests of the Filipino people.